in other World of Dog Training news, the internet's kind of been exploding because our boy Gary Wilkes, who we love, Gary, we've had done episodes on him before. Gary, one of the pioneers of clicker training, creator of the Bonker, has a blog. Kind of got that don't give a fuck mentality.
Definitely got the sassy attitude for sure.
Gary fucking stirred up some feathers by outing his former colleague, Karen Pryor.
Karen Pryor.
We've talked about Karen Pryor here and there, right? So Karen Pryor is the godmother of force-free training, right? She is like the fairy godmother with her little wand, like, treats for everything. Don't use aversives. Don't do this. Don't do that. So Gary, and listen, this is not, everybody's acting like this is news. Gary's talked about this so many times before, but I feel like it just kind of caught traction, right? Gary posts, we talked about this, right? If you go follow him on Facebook, he posts snarky, sassy stuff every single day. It's very entertaining, but through that snarky, sassy stuff, there's a lot of good knowledge in it.
Yeah.
Right? So whatever. So he basically told a story, and we'll read the story in a moment here.
Okay.
About Karen Pryor. So he used to do seminars with Karen Pryor, right?
Yeah.
They both kind of pioneered clicker training together, right?
Okay.
They did seminars together, and Gary's always been the guy that he's balanced. He does the clicker training side of things, then he talks about aversive control and using punishment and stuff like that, and Karen has always kind of just been like, oh, just the force-free stuff, right? But nonetheless, they did those seminars together, and Gary did his talks on aversive control, and she did her talks on clicker training and whatever. And again, he's talked about this so many times before, right?
Yeah.
But this was the day that it blew up. So we're gonna pull up this clip here.
Finally boiled over.
Yeah. All right. So 2 days ago, Gary made this status.
Okay.
It's long, so I'm gonna read it. He said, "My former associate, Karen Pryor, was forever opposed to punishment and telling the truth. That was one of several reasons that I terminated the association. She would tell people things I knew to be entirely false in order to sell clicker training. I had already spent 5 years and 1,000 dogs improving the process into a highly functional system of training. During that time, Karen trained no dogs to any standard other than her imagination. I required at least 1 hour of presentation time to speak on the need for punishment and its practical application in each of our seminars. She would leave the room and come back and pander to the punishment isn't necessary fantasy. Here's a great example. Karen had a border terrier named Skookums. He was a good example of the breed, headstrong, scrappy, and territorial. The UPS guy wouldn't deliver to their house in the woods if Skookums was loose. Karen started her fantasy by saying that she could call her dog out of a dog fight. That's how she got started. It was completely untrue. Skookums would rove around the neighborhood, picking fights. It was a heavily wooded area, and ignoring any calls for him to come home. She stayed on call him out of a dog fight for about 2 seminars. Then she jumped it up to she could call him out of a coyote fight. And now for what really happened. One night, there was a great conflagration of canines in the woods. No barks, no snarls and screams. Skookums never came home. John Lindbergh, Karen's husband at the time, believed Skookums was killed by coyotes. I would guess the same. So Karen got a pup from a friend and client of mine. Her name was Twitchit. That became a very appropriate name because Karen installed invisible fence to keep the dog close to the house. She had a promo picture that she used for about 2 years with Twitchit in her arms, with the clear picture view of the black box of the shock device on her collar. Oops. To be honest, there was a certain justification to Karen's tall tales. She, like B.F. Skinner, studied English literature in college. That is the art of writing fiction. Boy, was she good at it. Her invention of credentials as a behavioral biologist were based on having fibbed to a professor at Columbia to audit his graduate-level classes. My goal from the beginning was to get clicker training off the ground, even with all the hedonist ideologues who rushed to what they mistakenly thought was all positive training. I succeeded. Then I quit working with her. Spent 4 years listening to her telling whoppers at seminars. That was enough. I don't like liars. They create unreasonable expectations in order to puff up their status as saints. that never interested me.
That was a hit piece.
So, yeah, right. Like, Gary, you writing for the New York Times?
Yeah,
now? What's
man.
going on here? Woo! So listen, right? This has sparked a ton of interesting conversation that I've had the joy of observing over the last 48 hours.
Okay.
Right? So first off, right, like I knew this story, right? Gary told this story at a seminar I went to like fucking 6 years ago.
Okay.
Right? And like I said, he's posted numerous times about Karen Pryor and her bogus and him doing seminars with her and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
Right? He's posted all sorts of stuff kind of discrediting her. Right?
Yeah.
I think the reason why this one was such a big deal to people is because in the past, most of Gary's information he put out there was regarding her kind of working with people that used punishment or her methods not working in seminars or this or that. I think this is the first time he in like a public forum like that really wrote out showing she actually used it. Right? So an electric fence, for you guys that don't know, though I think it's pretty self-explanatory, is using punishment to keep a dog within a perimeter, right? So instead of just having a standard fence that you have around that isn't punishing the dog, it's just containing them, an electric fence provides an actual high-level shock for breaking the perimeter, right? It is clearly a very clear punishment tool.
Yeah.
Right? And listen, I don't have a problem with electric fences, right? Like, you want to use one, you use one. I mean, I have my things that I don't like about them, but they don't have anything to do with the electric fence. They have to do with what people use the electric fence for, which is leaving their dogs outside unattended, which I think is a bad idea. But the electric fence is a tool that obviously works, right? The problem is that Karen Pryor, for those of you that don't know, like I said, she's the fairy godmother of force-free training. And if you go on, I would argue to bet any force-free trainer that you see online that preaches the almighty word of everything you do is terrible and you're the devil and I'm the greatest dog trainer on the face of the planet, I would bet you any one of them has their credentials or one of their credentials as Karen Pryor's school. Right?
Yeah.
So the problem is she's selling this snake oil, right? She knows that she had no solution for keeping her dog from escaping and, in this case, getting killed by probably coyotes. I mean, they never found the dog. Obviously, the dog just ran away, so we don't know.
Yeah.
But regardless, her dog fucking ran away, and she lost it, and it's either dead or was just roaming the streets and died from roaming the streets.
Yeah.
Right? And she didn't have a force-free solution for that. So she resorted to using punishment while openly telling people how terrible of a thing punishment is and how there's no need for it ever.
Yeah.
Right? Then you have the other side of the equation, which is if in these seminars she was telling people that her force-free approach can recall her dog out of fights and recall it out of coyote fights and stuff like that, and on top of that, her dog likely getting killed by coyotes, right? That's even more tacked onto it.
Yeah.
Right? So, is this going to turn into anything long term? No, this is drama, right? This is the dog training world drama right now.
Drama,
right? And I'm sure everybody is still going to keep going to Karen Pryor School because it's probably makes a fucking shit ton of money, and everybody still looks at it like it's the dog training school of all dog trainers. And it's funny because like you could read the comments. There's like hundreds of comments on that post at this point, and like there's a bunch of people on there like that are defending her, but their defense is just, you're a piece of shit for outing private information and stuff like that. Like kind of discrediting everything that, not even discrediting, discounting everything that he said and just pretending like he didn't say it and just saying, well, you shouldn't have said that in the first place.
Yeah, you're just a mean person.
Yeah, you're just a mean person, right?
Oh my God.
So whatever, it's not going to change anything. But like this goes to show, Michelle, our trainer, made a really great post, just cell phone video on her way home from work the other day after she read it. And basically she was just saying like, this just further goes to show, right, that the loud minority is bullshit, right? If somebody so desperately needs to go out of their way to shut you the fuck down and make all of these claims and accusations about you for the sake of our method is better, it's just fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's the age-old fucking saying of you don't build the biggest tower by crushing all the other ones around you. You build it by just building the biggest fucking tower. And I've said this over and over and over and over again until I'm blue in the face. If force-free training worked the way that everybody says that it works, they would have a complete monopoly on the dog world. It would not even be in the fucking question to go use a balanced trainer, because why on the face of the planet would somebody want to choose giving corrections to a dog and using shock collars and using choke chains and stuff like that if they could just give the dog fucking cookies all day? Why?
Yeah.
Nobody would ever, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to have to correct dogs all the time, right?
Yeah.
I love training with food, but I know that it's not going to stop anything.
Yeah.
I know it's not going to work to do the things that everybody says that it's going to do. And literally to this day, you could go on YouTube and you could type in force-free behavioral modification before and after videos, and you will not find anything. And if you do find something, it will be something completely unrelated to the problem. It'll be like a dog being super reactive on a leash out on a walk somewhere, and then a fucking video of the dog like in a training center doing sit stays for the owner. You know what I mean? It'll be something that they're saying like, oh, look at this after video that has absolutely nothing to do with the problem behavior at hand.
Yeah.
Right? That's like Thor is in for serious handling issues and not letting me collar him and stuff like that. That's like me showing the before video of me trying to collar him and him freaking the fuck out and trying to bite me, and then me giving him a treat and saying like, oh, look, like he's fixed, right? Like those aren't correlated.
No.
They're not correlated at all.
Not at all.
So it's just fucking bullshit. And Michelle made another really great point also. I'm kind of piggybacking off of some of the stuff that she said of like to the before and after kind of thing, like of like, let's fucking see some of this stuff work, right? Like anybody, I think Michelle said like social media like is just it's just a highlights reel. That's all it is, right? So even us as balance trainers are guilty of like all the stuff we post is going to be showing us in our best light, right? So it's kind of the same deal when you get into the force-free side of things of like everything that they're posting is going to be cherry-picked to show the best, right? But you don't see, like I remember one time there was a very popular local force-free trainer, right, that ran this really popular Facebook group that I kind of, when I was first getting into dog training, was kind of like, you know, like going to some of their pack walks and things like that. And, you know, she was hardcore on the like aversives are the enemy, and if you use them, you're a piece of shit, and whatever, blah, 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 right?
Of course.
And, you know, like from the outside looking in when we went on these pack walks, like her dog was fairly well behaved, I would say. You know, she needed to manage it a lot with treats and stuff like that, but the dog listened okay. It wasn't bad by any means. Yeah. I remember one time I bought a fucking dog raincoat off of her before, right?
Okay.
And I had to go to her house to pick it up, right? And I remember getting to the house and knocking on the front door, and her dog went so absolutely batshit fucking crazy, and she couldn't get him to settle down. She literally needed to drag him into another room and lock him in another room while he was freaking out, while she opened the door, gave the coat to me, I gave her the money, and then I left, right?
Yeah.
Because she couldn't control the dog. She couldn't. Right? Where's your fucking force-free training? Right? Like, where is it helping you in this situation? Or do you just need to isolate your dog completely from strangers all the time because you can't fucking control them?
Yeah.
Right? And I'm not even trying to dig at that person specifically, which is why I'm not giving any names or anything like that. But like, this is what we mean about the highlight reel situation, right? We want to see, like, obviously social media is not a good representation of anybody, right? There are so many trainers out there that I think are bullshit trainers that have really good social media followings and stuff like that because they post really nice stuff. I want to see your dogs in the real world, right? I want to see how your dog behaves in the fucking house. I want to see how your dog behaves when you go out and about in public. I want to see how your dog behaves when they're off leash around a ton of distractions. And all of us can show you that with our dogs. We could show you, like, I could do an Instagram live that's a half an hour long of me off-leash hiking in the woods with my dogs and how I communicate with them and get them to listen to me and don't run into any sort of major problems or anything like that, I don't think the other side of the arena can do that.